All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. It's a couple minutes after the hour. Um, cool. So, welcome to our new to Ning webinar for today, September 5th. We're going to be running a couple of these over the next month or two to see if they're helpful for network creators. I did one of these last month and it seemed like it was helpful. And so, this is the second time we've done this webinar for those that are getting started or that just want to learn a little bit more about Ning 3.0. My name is Aaron Illica. I'm our customer onboarding czar at Ning, and I'm also a manager on our advocacy and support team. I've been with the company for almost 4 years, since 2009. And helping me out today with questions is Juana, who is also on my team. And so if you've ever gotten in touch with our support team, it may very well have been one of us that answered your email or your question on creators if you've been in touch with us on creators. Cool. So in terms of the structure of this webinar, it's going to be pretty brief because I want to give folks plenty of time for Q&A afterwards. So there's going to be about 20 minutes of hands-on product and feature setup on a test network that's running Ning 3.0. After that, we'll open it up for a Q&A. If you have a question along the way, just type it into the box on GoToWebinar, and Juana will help me, field those questions as they come in. So, if you have a question right now, go ahead and type it in, and I can answer it once I'm done with the product and feature overview. Great. So I'm sharing my screen right now, and this is just the Ning.com homepage I had up in the meantime. But I'm going to open things up to a test network that I set up for the purpose of this webinar. And this is the main page of my Portland Hiking Group test network. I work remotely for Ning, and I'm based in Portland, Oregon. I've been here for a couple years, and I love it here. So I also like hiking, so this is a good idea for me to have a test network based on hiking. Cool. So this is the main page of my test network. It's called Home, and it has content from a bunch of different features on my network. It has stuff from the blogs features. It has the activity feed here on the right. And below that, it has things it's pulling in discussions from my forum. It's a little bit blank right now, and there's not a lot of content here. And so we're going to fix that and add some stuff later in the webinar. But one thing I wanted to point out from the get-go with Ning 3.0, if you're unfamiliar with it, is that it's based on responsive design. So the main page here is responsive. All of the pages on the network, from your profile page to a blogs page to the forum feature, they're all responsive. So what does that actually mean? Like, why is that important? The best way to show you what responsive design is for me to grab this window and make it smaller. So you'll see that as I make the screen smaller, the margins adjust, and then we'll kind of resize the images and all the content. So now that I have a little bit smaller screen, this is probably what things would look like on an iPad. If it's even smaller, this is what it would look like on an iPhone or Android phone. So Ning 3.0 is responsive in the sense that it responds to the size of your screen. So it'll look good on a tablet, on a mobile phone, or a laptop monitor like what I'm using now, or a large desktop monitor. So one of the cool things about this is that you don't need to have any kind of iPhone or Android store app. This is built right into Ning 3.0, and it comes with your subscription free of charge. Cool. So let's talk a little bit more about the main page, since it's one of the most important pages on the network. And so I'm going to head to my dashboard and tell you a little bit more about how the site's organized. So to get to the dashboard, I'm going to open up my handy dandy toolbar here, and I'm going to click the first icon, which is the Social Site Manager. Cool. So this brings up my dashboard. And before we talk about the Site and Pages Manager, which is kind of the nitty gritty of how each individual page is organized, I want to tell you a little bit more about the dashboard and the different icons in your toolbar here. So dashboard has, kind of at a glance information. It has some next steps you can take on your network. It has some announcements from Ning. We're doing another webinar soon, as you can see. And then it has some data here of your network, the amount of blog posts or discussions that have been published recently. And it also explains these 4 icons at the top. So this one is Social Site Manager. That's what I clicked on to get here. This is how you manage your site and your pages and your settings. The next one, it looks kind of like an easel and ruler. It's the Design Studio. We'll talk about that a little bit later, to modify and customize the design, the look and feel of your network. The third one is for member management. It's where you'll manage members, approve any members that are pending or in the moderation state, where you can also appoint administrators. And the last one here is content management. This is where you'll approve or decline any content that you're moderating. So if you have a blog feature where you're moderating blog posts before they appear, this is where you'll go to approve those blog posts. All right, so that's a quick overview of the dashboard. And real quick, I want to point out the questions and problems section here. You can always get to your support page right from your dashboard if you have a question for us and want to send in a ticket or give us a call. Okay, so back to my main page. How is it organized? I'm going to click on Site and Pages, which is the second option right here. And let's take a look. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for myself. And we'll take a look. So right now, this is the Site and Pages Manager, and this allows you to add new features to your network, hide features, delete features, change the permissions on features, and just organize your network in general. So right now, we're looking at my home page. It's marked by the house icon, and this is a published page, which means everyone can see it. The title of the page is Home. You can change this to be whatever you want. And since this is checked, it means it's set as my home page. You can set any other feature you want as your home page. So if you prefer to use the blogs feature as your home page, more than welcome to do that. Use a forum feature or a social channel, anything you like. In terms of navigation, how is this page going to appear in the navigation? And by navigation, I just mean I'm going to open up the main page of my network again in another tab here. How does it look in this menu? So you'll see I have Home, My Page, Blog, and Forum. We could change the name of this page in the navigation to be something like Main or Hiking Home for this network. There's a couple other options here. You can open this in a new window if you like. But I really wanted to talk to you more about the layout. And of course, right up here, you can change the URL if you prefer and change the viewing permissions. We'll talk about these permissions in a little bit. Right now, though, I wanted to talk about the layout. One of the coolest things about Ning 3.0 is that you have a ton of different layout options. You can choose from no columns if you want, just everything kind of stacked on top of each other, and click and drag things around. Activity feed, blog, forum. You can do a 2-column layout with a sidebar on the left. You can do a 2-column layout with a sidebar on the right. And if you click on this, you can change the width of the sidebar. So if you make it wider, that's sometimes good for video advertising if you're interested in running that on your network. Or you can make it very narrow for things like a skyscraper type ad. You can also, of course, you don't have to use ads in the sidebar. You can run anything you want. So if you wanted to put the activity feed over here, more than welcome to do that. There's also a 3-column layout. This is kind of a more traditional Ning network layout. And there's also this cool kind of hybrid layout, a wide single column on top and then 2 columns on the bottom. So this is kind of cool if you want to highlight photos or a social channel in the wide area and then have different content areas below. So right now, I'm going to choose a 2-column layout, and I kind of like what I have here with the blog and forum in the kind of main section of it and the activity feed on the right. So I'm going to leave that like this and save my changes here. And let's take a look at what the page looks like. Should look pretty much the same because I didn't add any content yet. Yeah, this looks exactly the same. The blog and forum are here on the left and the activities on the right. So you can see the site builder kind of gives you a schematic of what the page will actually look like. It doesn't pull any content in here, but it will when you're viewing the page in your browser. All right, there's not a lot of stuff on my network right now, so let's go through the process of adding another feature instance. All right, so I'm going to head to the top of this page and click on Add a Page. And since this network is about hiking, I think it'll be cool to have a couple photos from some of my hikes. All right, so I'm going to choose page type photos. The other page types here we'll talk about in a little bit are blog, forum, social channel, custom page, where you can pull in a bunch of content from different features, a link, or a profile link. But for now, I'm going to choose photos. I'll have this be published because it's going to be ready to go as soon as I save it. And I'm going to call this one hiking photos. All right, tab title can be hiking photos, or I might even change it to just photos for now. I'm going to change the URL to simply photos just to make it easier. And I'm going to allow all members to contribute. So you'll notice that when I select this option, I also have the option to approve photos before they appear on the network. If you choose administrators or featured members, the options might be different here. Next thing I want to set up is viewing permissions. So basically it's asking you who's allowed to see the content that's going to be published on this page. Can it be visible to everyone, or only members, members only content, only featured members, or just your admins on the network? And since this is going to be a public photo gallery where I want people sharing all their photos, I'm going to leave this open to everyone. In terms of the comments here, there's a couple different options. We allow standard comments, which are comments from people that have signed up for the network. We also allow discuss comments, and discuss is a third-party service at discuss.com. And it's used by a lot of news sites, a lot of blogs, and it's just a kind of easy and lightweight commenting solution. And what Discuss allows you to do is, a lot of people that are on the internet and commenting on sites will already have a Discuss account. And so if you enable this option and you have a Discuss account, that means people that are just viewing your network can comment without having to sign up and join the network. So I'm just going to leave it as standard comments for now. Newest on top seems fine. Since these are photos, I'm going to add a couple different categories here. So I'm going to add a category for river photos and mountain photos. It seems good enough for now. I have a couple categories. In terms of the layout, I kind of like the really wide column since we're talking about a visual feature here. So I'm going to leave this as a wide single column layout and save my changes here. All right, so now you'll see the photos feature is here. I can go back to the home page, clicking on this one at the top, and I can now add this content or add this feature into the home page. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to click Add Content. Content type here is going to be photos, which is my photos feature. And we can give this a title, hiking photos. And I'll add that. And now you'll see that this pops up and I can put this, click and drag it wherever I want on the network. Photos are eye-catching, so I'm going to put them right at the top, save my changes, and now let's take a look at the page again with my new feature. So I'm just reloading the page. Cool, I have hiking photos here. But there's a problem. There's no actual photos in the feature. So let's go ahead and add a few sample photos to the photos feature, and then we'll see how those appear on the main page. Great. So we're in my photos feature that I just added, the hiking photos. Nothing here yet. And so let's go ahead and click on the plus sign and add some photos here. When you do this, this will bring up your computer's upload dialog box. And it's still loading for me. There we go. Have some pictures in this folder. So I'm going to upload a couple things here. You can upload multiple files at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and add these two photos to my photos feature. And once this is done, it brings up an edit screen where you can edit the photos that you just uploaded. So by default, we'll use the name of the photo, or sorry, the file name of the photo that you just uploaded. But you can always edit this as soon as you upload it. So I don't like this little underscore here. I'm going to change this to be Hawthorne Bridge. And you can add a little description. A great shot of the bridge, the Hawthorne Bridge, at dusk. Looks good to me. You can also edit the URL of the photos that you just uploaded. This one's fine for now. I'm also going to add a tag here. Bridge. This one is actually Olympic National Park in Washington. So I'll just copy this. Really beautiful place if you've never been there. Olympic National Park, and we can call this one, we'll leave the URL as mountain. That's okay, but we'll add a mountain tag here. Tags will help you organize content as you add more and more of it to your network. So I'm going to put these in mountain photos, and I'll change the other one to go in the river photos just to show you an idea how things are categorized. So now the photos show up here. I want to change the category of the Hawthorne Bridge one. So let's go ahead and do that. When you click on a content item like I just did on this Hawthorne Bridge photo, you'll notice that there are a couple more buttons that show up. There's the option to feature the content, make it stand out. You can edit the content, which is what we want to do now, and add more content. So let's go ahead and click edit, and we'll change the category that this is in. So my description is still there. Everything looks good. I'm going to switch this to river photos because this is a photo of the Willamette River that runs through downtown Portland. All right, so this feature is looking a lot better now. There's some content, and now you'll see that the categories that I set up now appear here in the navigation of the photos feature. I have all photos, mountain photos, and river photos. If I click on one of those categories, then it will show all the relevant photos. And when I go back to my home page, those photos are now on the main page. All right, so my main page is looking a little bit better, but the design is a little bit boring right now. I kind of have a white and gray background, and since this network is about hiking, we should kind of spruce it up and make it a little bit more outdoorsy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that by opening up the Design Studio. To get to the Design Studio, just open your handy-dandy toolbar here and click on the second icon, which will make the Design Studio drop down. The Design Studio is the place where you're going to edit your current theme or select a new theme. And it has a live kind of instant preview function that allows you to see right away the changes you make kind of in a live preview mode. All right. So the first option here on the left is the themes. Right now I'm using the aloe theme, but you can easily with one click switch to a bamboo theme, a birch theme, catnip theme. If you really like cupcakes and pink, there's the cherry theme. There's about 7 different themes here. I kind of like the aloe one because it's kind of neutral and it's pretty easy to customize, which is what I'm going to do in the next steps. But you feel free to choose whatever theme you want. Each theme kind of has its own style and color palette and fonts and header color that it uses, but every theme is totally customizable to your needs. When you click on history right under themes, you'll see a history of previous themes that you've used on the network. So this is really helpful if maybe you published a couple changes to your theme and you realize, I don't really like that all that much. I want to go back to the way it was. It's really easy to click on a previous theme and revert it. So I have a ton of themes that I published earlier this month, earlier in August, etc. With one click, I can go back to the way the theme looked back then. So this is really helpful, actually, if you are doing like a seasonal design type thing, and maybe you want to have your network have a fall theme for the fall season and a standard theme for spring, summer, and winter. So you could publish a fall-related theme and then go back to your history here and go back and publish the spring or summer theme from this area. This is also good if you're kind of dress up your network for the holidays, maybe change the colors around. It's really easy to change it back. All right, header. So we made it really easy in Ning 3.0 to customize the design of your header without having to know any bit of CSS or any kind of code whatsoever. So one of our goals with this was to make it really easy for you to have an awesome looking network, without having to deal with a lot of customizations that weren't in a graphical interface like this. So one thing we did was we made it possible to drag this around, and you'll see that this updates right away. So let's say I want to have this in the center. I'm going to position this a little bit, and I'll make this kind of in the center as well, line it up a bit. That's looking pretty good. I'll move it over to align it a little bit more, but I'm just clicking and dragging here with these bars. Okay, so this is looking good, but it's kind of a little bit blank still. the header could be a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to add a logo image as well as a background image to kind of spruce things up a bit. Cool. So I'm going to click upload, and I'm going to add a picture of my dog, Astrid, because she really likes hiking. So we'll let that image upload, and then I can move that around in my header. Since the logo image is not showing yet, I'm going to click on show, and there she is. All right, that's a happy gal. You can click and drag to move this around. We can make it go on the right side or on the left side or wherever you want. The logo image is really useful also if you have a corporate logo or a text-based logo and you want to hide the network name. It's really easy to do that by clicking hide. You might have a logo that has Portland Hiking Group built right into it. And so in that case, you would want to hide the network name because your logo would already have that text. But it's really easy to hide and show it. And I'm also going to add a background image here. So I'm going to upload one of these. I'm going to use my Mount Hood picture, which is mountain right outside Portland. And I'm going to click on show again. And we'll see what this looks like. This is looking pretty good. I kind of like the way this looks. The only problem I have with this theme right now, or with the way my network looks, is that the text is a little bit gray. So let's go ahead and change that. And I also want to get rid of the white background. So let's go to the background tab next. Background tab is another really awesome feature of Ning 3.0, and it's where you can choose from around 1,000 different background images that are already built into your network. So there's a bunch of different categories here. There's textures, paper, plants, the nature ones, and plants are pretty relevant to my hiking network, so we can choose one of these. And now you can see, okay, I have a bunch of clouds on the background of my network. That looks okay, and I like some of these repeating patterns. They look kind of cool and they're easy on the eye. But what I want to do here is actually upload my own background image from my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And yeah, this is looking cool. I'm going to make it scale full screen so that will blow up the image. And I'm going to center it. And the last change I'm going to do is fix it to the background. What that means is that as I scroll down the page, the image stays in the center of the background. It doesn't scroll as you scroll down the network's, the height of the network. Okay, so this is looking a lot better already, and it looks like a neat design. Let's take a look and fix the color here of my network name, because that's a little bit dark. It's kind of dark text on a dark background. So here I'm going to click on site name and choose a kind of lighter green. That looks a lot better already. Cool. So Portland Hiking Group stands out now. The dog is there and she's ready to hike. The other options here for your colors, these are all kind of palettes that are based on each different theme. So the first theme is Aloe theme, and then there's Jera and Blazing Star. Different themes each have their own palette. And so if you click on one of these, then this is the one for the cherry or cupcake theme, has a lot of red. This is for cedar, I think, that has the blues. I'm going to switch it back to aloe, but you can create your own custom color palette and change things however you like. So I'm going to change header background to black, get rid of some of that white in the back that was over here. So that's looking better. And then I need to change the site name back to that nice green. And this is looking much better. So I'm going to make a couple more changes here, and then we'll publish the theme and it'll be good to go. All right, text panel is what's next. Click on that. This is just where you'll change the font and size of the different text-based elements on your network. So the heading, subheading, navigation font. Helvetica is okay, but I'm going to try Century Gothic and see if that's a little bit nicer. That one's okay. I might try Futura. That one's cool. It has a little bit more spacing and it's easier to read in the navigation. So here's where you'll change the font. These are all kind of standard web fonts that are visible in most browsers. It's possible to get other fonts on there using custom CSS or custom code if you're a more advanced designer. But we have plenty of good looking fonts that are built right in without having to deal with that. All right, the effects panel here is one of the most powerful things I think in Ning 3.0. it makes it really easy to change like things like rounded corners or the amount of rounded corners. So the inner and outer canvas, if you take a look at this area as I move the sliders, you'll see what we mean by that. So this is the outer canvas, and we'll make that round. The inner canvas as well, we can make it kind of round. And then you'll see down here we now have rounded corners on the modules. You can do the same for profile images. As you go there, it's more of a circle. And so you'll see that my picture down here is now a circle as well. And I kind of like that. So I'm going to leave that as is. The last option here is for those of you that are more design oriented and are familiar with coding in CSS. This is perfect for those of you that are familiar with it, but most people can do everything they want to have a great looking network without ever touching this. So I'm not going to make any changes here because I don't need to. I kind of like the look and feel of my network that I put together in just a couple minutes using the Design Studio and a couple images I had on my desktop. And now we have a more, a nicer looking network that seems like it's more suitable to hiking. Okay, cool. So that's the Design Studio. And I'm going to move on to talk about one of the other new features in Ning 3.0, which is the social channel. So let's add a social channel to my network. I'm going to open the toolbar again and go to the social site manager, this first icon, and click on site and pages because we need to go through the process of adding another page. So I'm going to click on add a page, and the page type here will be social channel. Social channel is a way to pull in videos from other sites, YouTube and Vimeo specifically. And this is great if you already have a ton of videos on YouTube and you just want to pull all of them into your network, or if you are, a network from about an organization or a brand and you already have a bunch of content on these services that you just want to pump right into your network. We'll update these regularly. And so if you publish a new video to YouTube, it'll also appear on your network if it's in a social channel. All right, so different options here. We'll call this one hiking videos. They aren't all really hiking videos, but we'll say they are for this purpose. And I'm going to keep this available to everyone on the network. And I'm going to add a Vimeo channel, which is EOA Daily. This is kind of an outdoorsy channel on Vimeo. And then YouTube channel, I'm going to add Yosemite National Park because I know they have some really cool videos right now. And they're also trying to attract people to the park because it's kind of burning up right now. But not all of it. So that's good. Okay, so we have social channel. And since this is a video-based thing, I also want to leave it with a single column. But if you wanted, you could add, I'll do a 2-column one, and we can add photos to the sidebar so that we can have my photos on the left and then the social channel here in the main column. All right, so let's save that and then view the page. Okay, so we saved our changes. Make sure you always save your changes if you make any. I'm going to click on view here to view this hiking videos channel. And so you'll see in the left column, the photos that I added earlier in the webinar are there. And then the videos in the social channel are here on the right. So these videos are something you can play instantly just by clicking them. And they'll pop up in a little light box here. And we see the National Park video from Yosemite. So this is a really cool and powerful way to pull stuff right into your network without having to add a bunch of videos individually. So speaking of social channels and the different features, I wanted to go over one other thing really quickly, which is one of the main features of Ning 3.0, and that's multiple instances of features. And by multiple instances, we mean you can have different copies of different features on the network. So earlier I added this photos feature. I can add another photo gallery, and we could call this something like river photos or city hiking photos or something like that. And so this is really helpful if you want to organize your content in different ways, because each different feature instance or copy can have its own viewing permissions as well as its own contributor permissions. So this would be really helpful if, for example, you have kind of a company network and you wanted to have one area where fans of your company could talk about your products, and then one other area that was official announcements. So this could be, two separate forum features. Each one can have its own viewing permissions, contributor permissions, and comments if you like. So on my network, how I might use this is I could have a couple separate forums. Right now, I just have the first forum, and I'm going to not save any changes here. But right now, I just have one forum, but I could add a second forum um, that could be for hikers based in Idaho and California and Washington so that they could discuss specific routes in Portland. Or I could even have a third forum for Portland hikers that only do city hikes and they want to discuss different hikes that they can do in Forest Park and other places around Portland. So, with Ning 3.0, you have a ton of options and you can organize things however you like, with each feature having its own viewing permissions, contributor permissions, and categories. It's really powerful. All right. So we talked about the design studio. We talked about new features in Ning 3.0. We talked about responsive design. And we talked about adding content through features. And I think we did a decent amount of kind of feature setup and hands-on product stuff. But this is just stuff that we've been doing on my test network. This is something I put together for the specific purpose of this webinar, and this is not a real network. It looks okay, and my dog looks happy there, but it's not a real network, which is what you folks are dealing with and trying to set up on your end as you get started with Ning 3.0. So I wanted to give you some ideas to get your creative juices going of what kind of you should keep in mind as you're creating your network and getting started. All right. So the first thing to do as you get set up is to add content. It might seem kind of self-explanatory, but this, by adding content, you'll make it easy for new members to engage with your network subject. Whether it's hiking in my case, or knitting, or a company, or a band, or brand page. Add content so that people can engage with it before you invite people to the network. It's a good idea to seed your network with a bunch of interesting content. It could be a social channel, it could be a blog post explaining what your network is about. Having interesting forum discussions really helps because it's a great way for people to jump in and voice their opinion. Seed your network with a bunch of interesting content before you go to the next step, which is inviting members. And speaking of inviting members, I want to show you how to add an invitation tab. You should try to get at least 5 to 10 founding or really active members who are invested in your network early on. And you can allow those members to invite more members if you like. So let's go through the process of setting up an invitation tab. I'm going to open up my Site and Pages Manager again. And I'm going to click on the Members tab now. This is the third option here. And right now you see I'm the only member of this network. There's a link here to invite more people. So I can invite people through my Gmail address book, Yahoo contacts. I can invite people manually by just typing in their emails. And I can also upload an address book file, like a CSV from iCal or Outlook, to invite people that way. You can also share this invitation link directly to something like your Facebook wall or LinkedIn profile, or send that over email, and people will automatically have an invitation to join the network. So that's how you can invite people to the network. And I also want to set up an invitation tab. So I'm going to grab this URL here at the top. I'm going to copy it and then go back to the site builder. And I need to refresh the page since it's a little bit out of date and it didn't have my social channel there. I'm going to add a new page. And this one is just going to be called Invite More People. URL looks good, but the page type, it's not a blog, it's just going to be a link. And the URL we're going to use is the one I just accessed, which is the invitation link. All right, so we have that all ready to go. And I'm going to go back to the main page of my network and show you now we have Invite More People here at the top. So this is an easy way people can click on it and members can invite their contacts to the network to participate as well. So that's the second thing you should think about setting up, in addition to seeding your network with interesting content, is to invite more members. Third thing, of course, what we went through is customize your design using the design studio. That's really important and easy to have a standout design using some of the built-in options or by uploading your own images. The fourth thing is to welcome your first members. Um, this is a really important step because someone might up and join your network, and if they don't feel welcome or if their contribution isn't answered within a couple hours, they might not be too invested and they might not want to participate further because they think, what's the point of joining the network? So it's much more important here to have active members as opposed, the quality of members, especially as you're getting started, is more important than the quantity. The last thing that I would like you folks to think about as you get set up, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A, is to think about defining your hook. And by a hook, we mean, what's your network's niche? Who is your community for? What are people going to do in the community? And we like to think about this using the two qualifier rule, and that is a community for X, who Y. For example, a community of backpackers who want the lightest possible backpacks, or a community for Star Trek fans in Chicago. Or, and this is one of my favorite ones, and this is an actual Ning network, a community for artists who use gourds and pumpkins as their medium. So it's people who paint pumpkins and squash and gourds and stuff like that. That's a great niche community, and they're the only group of their kind that I know of. And so that's a great way to kind of nail down your target audience, is by defining a hook. Just because it's going to be really difficult for you to build the next Facebook or the next LinkedIn. But if you could end up building the next LinkedIn for HR professionals in Indianapolis, or you might end up building the next Facebook for hikers in Portland. So think about a really well-defined hook as a really important step in kind of conceptualizing your community. And that's it for now. We hope you enjoyed the New to Ning webinar, and we also hope that you will join us for one of our upcoming webinars. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.